Hello everyone and welcome, hopefully, to this video where I don't have a helium voice, which if you just jumped in a few moments ago, my voice was being very strange. I'm afraid there was a technical problem, but we're going to start again. Let me know if you can hear me and see me all right and if my voice sounds like a chipmunk or not. I'm afraid that it might, but hopefully not. Now, why am I here? I'm here because I'm afraid many of you are wrong when you're speaking English. Many of you are making the same mistake and you're using the phrase, I'm afraid, in a bad way. It's wrong. Your assumption of this phrase is wrong, and I'm here to help you to correct it. So Daniel has said to me, yes, your voice is okay, good. Some people who are watching this video who didn't see the chipmunk video will wonder what they've missed out on. I heard it back and it was dreadful, and I don't know why that happened. So, we are doing an English lesson, hello if you're just joining me, on the phrase, I'm afraid, because I'm afraid many of you are using it incorrectly. I'm afraid you're wrong when you use it. So, if you don't know me, my name's Anna English. This is English Like a Native. I have made notes for this lesson right here. And these notes will be given to my patrons as a token of my gratitude for your support. So patrons, you'll find this in your patron room straight after this lesson. And these notes are also going to be made available for anyone who would like to support the channel with a super chat. So anyone donating a super chat during today's lesson will get a copy of these notes. All you have to do is drop me an email, remind me that you sent a super chat, and I will send you these notes or the notes to any other lesson that we've covered in the past, if I have notes for them. Okay, so let's get started now that everything is working well. So, I'm afraid. We all know how to use this in its very basic form. The word afraid. The word afraid is an adjective, and it means a feeling of fear or anxiety, to be scared or to be frightened of something. Now, you can use I'm afraid or someone's afraid alone as a statement of this feeling. For example, I am afraid, full stop. I'm afraid. Right now, I am afraid. I'm scared. He was afraid. So that's in the past tense. He was afraid. And in the future, I think she will be afraid. I think she will be afraid. Okay? So we can use it just as a statement. So far, this is very easy. Right? This is how we know to use the word afraid. So if you want to express the cause of this fear, if you want to tell me in your sentence what is causing you to be afraid, then you must use an extra word. Now, you must use either of, to, or that in addition to afraid. So I'm just going to make this statement first of all. All of you know, if you've been watching me for a long time, my feelings about grammar and grammar rules. Natives don't learn grammar rules. They learn them in a subconscious way. We know when something sounds right and we know when something sounds wrong or a little unusual. And so I have tried to push on this channel the idea of not worrying too much about grammar rules. Now, I've kind of put this together in a hurry. And so if I miss something out, if you are a teacher of English and you think there's some extra rules that can be added, please do let me know in the comments below. But I don't particularly know grammar rules very well. I know what's wrong, I know what's right, but grammar rules, not my thing. So I'm tried my best to put these down in a list of rules for you, but if you're a teacher and you think there's something I've missed and that can be added, please do discuss it with me in the comments below because it's helpful for all of us. Okay, so here are the rules that I think apply to afraid when we're adding of, to, or that. So if we say I'm afraid of, then a noun, this is how it works. I'm afraid of, what are you afraid of? You just give the noun. I'm afraid of spiders, full stop. David is afraid of heights, full stop. Charlotte is afraid of you, full stop. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is to put this very basic rule into action. I want you to write a sentence telling me what you're afraid of. Okay, and I've got one through straight away, and it's Yu Ting has written this sentence. Let's have a look. Yu Ting has written, I am afraid of snakes. Very good. Full stop on the end, Yu Ting, and make sure you put a capital letter at the beginning. Also, I've mentioned this before, I is always a capital. You are important, so always capitalize I. I am afraid of snakes. Very good. Sarah has written this sentence. Let's have a look. Oh, the chat is moving so fast I can't copy and paste fast enough. So Sarah or Sarah, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I do apologise. Sarah has written this. Make sure you put a space in there, my dear. Capitalise the I. I am afraid of cockroaches. Just be careful of the spelling. Cockroaches. Cockroaches. Full stop. I'm afraid of cockroaches. Alexander in our patron chat room has said, I think that everybody is afraid of snakes. Very good. You get a thumb up for that sentence. It's very well written. Thank you very much. Okay, and I'll just do one more. Okay, so here's an interesting one from Daram. Daram has written, I'm afraid and I don't know how to react when someone staring me. So first of all, we need a full stop. I'm afraid and I don't know how to react when someone is, when someone is staring at me. When someone is staring at me. Okay, so we always need those words in there. When someone is staring at me. When someone is looking at me. When someone is talking to me. When someone is coming towards me. Okay, so let's now carry on. So we've got that idea, afraid of, and then the noun. Afraid of and the noun. Okay, so the next use would be to add a verb. If you're afraid of if there's a verb, something that you're doing, a doing thing, then what we have to do when we use a verb is add ing. So I am afraid of the verb and ing. So the ing version of the verb. Here we go. So it's afraid of plus the verb plus ing. For example, I am afraid of falling off my bike. I'm afraid of falling off my bike. Daniel is afraid of upsetting you. Daniel is afraid of upsetting you. Tracy is afraid of doing something wrong in her exam. So if we're going to use a verb, use the ing version of the verb when we use afraid of. Afraid of doing, afraid of upsetting, afraid of cooking, afraid of falling, afraid of jumping, afraid of running, afraid of riding. Okay, so I want you to give me some examples, please. So afraid of, verb plus ing. And I am afraid of you missing out. I'm afraid of you missing out. I'm afraid of letting people down. So I would love it if you guys now, while you're writing sentences or waiting for me to respond, to just click the share button. And while you're there, please do make sure that you've given this video a like. YouTube is changing so fast and it's making it very difficult for us creators to keep creating and to keep making sure that our videos are delivered to the people who want to watch them. So one of the ways that can guarantee that these videos are always recognized by YouTube as good content is if you guys interact by commenting, liking and sharing, of course. So anything you can do to help, I will be very, very grateful. So let's have a look. What are my patrons saying? I am always afraid of sounding foolish. Oh, very good. Give that a thumb up. I was afraid of flying planes when I was a small boy. Very good. Well done. Do you fly planes now? I'm interested to know. You've got me interested now. Okay, let's have a look on the chat room in YouTube. Good. Okay, so Alessandro. I don't know why I roll that R. Alessandro has written, I am afraid of writing in the comments. Good. I would put comments box just to make that complete. I'm afraid of writing in the comments box. But that's good. Afraid of writing. Perfect. Well done. What else do we have? I'm afraid of... Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Oh, no, I've lost it. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name because it's in characters I don't understand. But you've written, I'm afraid of being late for the meeting. I am afraid of being late for the meeting. So you're scared of being late for the meeting. Good. Well done. Ahmed, I'm afraid of driving quick. I'm afraid of driving quick. That feels unusual. Let me put this down. I'm afraid of driving quick. I don't think it's wrong necessarily, but it feels like you should put quickly. I'm afraid of driving quickly. That feels better. Okay, yeah. So I'm afraid of driving quickly, but this part, very good. I'm afraid of driving quickly. I'm afraid of you losing me. Make sure you write of, not or, and make sure your I is capitalized. That's Manubi. Manubi. My brother has been afraid of watching horror movies. Now, let's have a look at this one quickly. My brother has been afraid of watching horror movies. Now, because you've used has been, which means in the past or during a certain time he was afraid, or maybe he still is, but it feels like you need to complete the sentence with more information because you've chosen this tense. My brother has been afraid of watching horror movies. It feels like it needs since he was a little boy, or since he was 7 years old, or since he saw It, the film It. My brother has been afraid of watching horror movies since. Okay, so it needs that addition to the sentence. It's not complete without it. Unless you change the tense and just say, my brother is afraid of watching horror movies. Yeah? Good. Okay, let's move on then. Oh, pardon me, I will just see what Alexander has written. Alexander, I hardly ever fly planes as travelling by air is quite expensive in Ukraine, but whenever I fly abroad, I catch the plane without being afraid. Great. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's move on. So we now know I'm afraid of noun, or I'm afraid of verb with ing. And at the moment, we're talking about afraid meaning scared or to be fearful. Now, you can use I'm afraid to. And if you're going to say I'm afraid to, then you can use a verb, or then you must use a verb, but not with ing. So we use the verb in its pure form. For example, I am afraid, oh dear, I've written it wrong here. I'm afraid to tell my children the truth. I'm afraid to tell my children the truth. He was afraid to go outside. He was afraid to go. He was afraid to go outside. And that needs a full stop. Goodness me, I wrote this in such a hurry. I've made so many mistakes. They were afraid to jump out of the plane. They were afraid to jump out of the plane. Good. Okay, so now I want you to try and write a sentence using afraid to plus a verb without the ing. Okay, let's have a look at the patron room. I'm afraid of finishing to watch the movie because I've to show up for my friend's birthday early. I'm afraid of finishing. So because you've used finishing, so you're using two verbs here and it's unusual. I'm afraid of finishing to watch. So you don't need both. Let me see if I can copy and paste this sentence here. So you could just say, I'm afraid of finishing the movie. I'm afraid of finishing the movie because I've to show up for my friend's birthday early. Can you come back to me and tell me exactly what you mean? Because here we're using afraid meaning scared. You're scared of finishing the movie? Is it a scary movie? So come back with your meaning, because I think you mean another version of afraid. So I'll come back to that one, but tell me exactly what you're meaning before I move on with that sentence. Okay, let's have a look in the YouTube chat room, what are you guys saying? I'm afraid to drive too fast. Good, David. Just make sure you put a full stop on the end. I'm afraid to drive too fast. Good. I'm afraid to speak to someone I don't know. Good. That works. Here we've got reader. I'm afraid to write this comment. Okay, you don't need to be afraid. But do make sure that you use a capital I and a full stop. I'm afraid to write this comment. Good. You could, if you were going to change it to the other version, have put I'm afraid of, and then I would have to change this to the ing version. I'm afraid of writing this comment. You see how it works? Good. I'm afraid to write this comment. Okay, let's jump back. Okay, I've got Julia. Hi, Anna. She is in a hurry because she is afraid to miss the train and get late to the meeting. Let's have a look at this. So thank you, Julia. I'll just take away hi, Anna. But hi, it's good to see you. So Julia, just make sure you use a capital at the beginning of your sentences. I know that when we're writing in chat rooms and on like text message or chat forums, things like that in messengers, we tend to write quickly. So we make mistakes that we wouldn't normally make with grammar, with punctuation, capitalization. But I would advise you to try always, and it's advice I give to myself as well, because I'm guilty of it too. I would try to always be disciplined with your punctuation, your capitalization, and with your grammar, because if you are disciplined in chat, when you speak the most, in fact, when you make the most comments, if you're disciplined in chat, then you're less likely to make mistakes when you have formal writing to do, when you have to write letters or emails to important people. So try to always be disciplined with that. So a capital letter at the beginning. She is in a hurry because she is afraid to miss the train and get late to the meeting. Let's lose that one, and be late for the meeting. And be late for the meeting. She doesn't want to be late. You don't get late. You never get late. You are late. And because it's something she's afraid of, it's not happened yet, but she's afraid to be late. Or you could say she's afraid of being late, but we'd always use be here. And be late for the meeting. Okay, hope that helps, Julia. And I'll do one more correction from the chat room. I'm afraid of missing my flight tomorrow. Standing Lad, hi, how are you? Nice to see you here. Oh, okay, I think you're correcting someone else, but great. I'm afraid of missing my flight tomorrow. That's good, with the verb plus ing. Okay, all right. So I'm going to just jump back here to the Patreon chat room before I move on. Being afraid to go on her own, she asked Kim to go with her. Very good. Being afraid to go on her own, she asked Kim to go with her. Really good, complicated structure there. Excellent. Well done. Very nice sentence. And Julia, thank you so much, sweetheart. Julia has dropped a €2 super chat. So Julia, of course, as soon as this lesson is finished, I will send you a copy of these notes. So thank you for your contribution. Okay, so Dana says, how is boring the topic today? How is boring the topic today? Well, first of all, that sentence is incorrect. You would say, how boring is the topic today? As a statement, but it's a little bit rude, I have to say. If you find the topic boring, and this isn't a mistake that you regularly make, then you don't have to watch. Okay, so let's move on. So we're getting now close to the big mistake that everyone makes with this particular phrase. But before we get there, I'm just going to finish with afraid that. Now, I'm not sure about this rule. I've written this in a hurry and I'm not certain about this rule. We've got a few English teachers in, so correct me if I'm wrong. But if we use afraid that, you then would use a noun and then the prediction of what will happen. So, for example, I am afraid that, noun, the horse, and then the prediction will bite me. I'm scared that the horse will bite me. Or, she was afraid, hang on, let me show you these notes. She was afraid that, and then we need the noun, the party, and then the prediction would be a disaster. She was afraid that the party would be a disaster. Or they are afraid that, noun, their teacher, prediction, will tell them off. They are afraid that their teacher will tell them off. Okay? So, I want you to try. I don't know if that's clear for you. I hope it is. And Stunning Lad, for example, I know you're excellent with your grammar rules. So if you have anything to add to that, I would love it if you could just put it in the chat room for everyone. And I'll try and catch it and read it out as well. But I think that's how it works. Afraid that, then the noun, and then the prediction. Stunning Lad has put, I'm afraid that is the case. Good. Okay. I hope that's in response to what I'm asking you for. And Veve, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but thank you so much. You've also dropped a €2 super chat. And if you drop me an email, my email is at the bottom of the description. If you drop me an email, I will send you a copy of these notes if they are going to be of help to you. So drop me an email and I'll respond with the notes that you like. Okay, so let's have a look at your examples. I've got, hello, lovely Anna. I'm really excited to see you. Hi, Ella. I'm excited to see you too. Okay, what examples do we have here? I'm afraid. Oh, here we go. I'm afraid that one day he will leave me. Oh, excellent. I'm afraid that one day he will leave me. That's a really good sentence. That works. Just make sure there's a full stop on the end and let everyone see. I'm afraid that one day he will leave me. Okay, good. All right. Is there any others that I can see here? I'm afraid that, what's this about lions? This is Valeria. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I do apologize. But here we go. Let's have a look at your sentence. I am afraid that lions will escape from the zoo. I'm afraid that lions, I would say the lions, it feels more natural. I'm afraid that the lions will escape from the zoo. I'm afraid that the lions will escape from the zoo. Yes, that would be scary. I am afraid that I cannot attend the meeting, says Vikas. This is very good, but Vikas, like I've mentioned a few times already, and I probably will have to keep repeating because it's one of those common mistakes. Capital I, my dear, capital I. I am afraid that I cannot attend the meeting, full stop. Very good. I am afraid that she will take my soul, says Dr. Samir. Very good. I am afraid that you will never read my sentence out, says Tomek. Well, no need to be afraid because I've just read it out for you. I'm afraid that your live lecture will pass me. If you're going to use pass me, as in it will go by without me noticing, you'd say pass me by. I'm afraid that your live lesson will pass me by. Okay, so, okay. All right, so let's go back to my patron room. In my previous message, I was trying to tell that it must have finished the movie, but at the same time, I should leave for the birthday celebration ASAP. Okay, so it's not something you're scared of. So that sentence doesn't work for being scared. So we'll come back to that one. I was afraid that Trump could deport all immigrants from the US. I was afraid that Trump would. I would use would instead of could. I was afraid that Trump would deport all the immigrants from the US. Okay, and that works better. All right, I think it's time to move on to the big reveal. The whole reason for this lesson, and it's something that comes up in chats with students all the time in comments, and it's the most common use of I'm afraid by natives is commonly when we say I'm afraid in a sentence, we actually mean I am sorry. I am sorry. We use it when delivering unpleasant or unwelcome news to someone. For example, I am afraid your father cannot come to watch your play tonight. So I'm basically saying, I'm sorry, your father cannot come to watch your play tonight. The flight has been delayed. Woo, here we go. Going crazy with that selection. The flight has been delayed, I'm afraid. That means the flight has been delayed. I'm sorry. And here at the dentist, you need 2 fillings in your back tooth, I am afraid. So you must come back again tomorrow. You need 2 fillings in your back tooth, I am afraid. So you must come back again tomorrow. Gosh, nobody likes to visit the dentist twice in 1 week. So that means I'm sorry, but you need 2 fillings. Here we go. I am afraid that your parcel has been lost. I'm sorry, your parcel has been lost. We're afraid that the party will have to be cancelled. I'm sorry, but the party will have to be cancelled. So notice something to be aware of, and I'm not sure why, but sometimes we just say I'm afraid and then the bad news, but other times we say I'm afraid that and then the bad news. You can use them pretty much interchangeably. I'm afraid I can't come, or I'm afraid that I can't come. I'm afraid that I can't come. We use them interchangeably, but there's one rule. You cannot say I'm afraid that at the end of a sentence. So you can't say I can't come, I'm afraid that. I can't come, I'm afraid that. That wouldn't work. You could say I can't come, I'm afraid. Full stop. So if you're going to use I'm afraid that to mean I'm sorry or I'm about to give you bad news, make sure you use it at the beginning, or just don't use it at the end, basically. You might use it in the middle of a sentence, but use it at the beginning of the clause or at the beginning of the sentence, okay? So, Amal has said, can we say I'm afraid but? No, not if you're using it to mean I'm sorry. Oh, hang on. I'm afraid, but no, I can't think of a sentence where that would make sense. I'm afraid, but no. You'd say I'm afraid that, or I'm afraid, and then whatever the news is. So let's have a look at your example sentences. And this is the important one. If you take nothing else away from this lesson, I want you to take this one away. This is what, as natives, we use I'm afraid that to mean I'm sorry all the time. And regularly students say to me, Anna, what are you afraid of? I didn't mean to upset you. Why are you scared? And I'm not scared. I'm just saying sorry. I'm afraid I can't help you. I'm afraid I don't know, is what I normally say to students if I don't know the answer to something or if I'm unable to help. And then they say, why are you scared? It's nothing to be scared of, which I think is quite funny. But it's important to be aware of that rule. So here we go. Let's have a look in the patron room. Ella, have you got any tips for, or is it on, improving my grammar? You could say both. Have you got any tips for would be more natural. Got any tips for improving my grammar? I'm struggling, especially with tenses and a bit more complicated sentence structures. I feel stuck and don't really know how to work my skills. Okay, Ella, stick around to the end and I'll answer that question at the end. Let's carry on with examples. I'm afraid that I've confused you a little bit on my presentation. Yes, that's fine. I'm sorry that I've confused you with my presentation or during my presentation. I wouldn't use on, but otherwise that's good. Well done. Okay, let's have a look at the example sentences coming through on YouTube. I'm afraid that you dropped out your wallet. This is an interesting one. Let's just copy this. So if you see someone dropping their wallet, then you might grab it and go and tell them, excuse me. And they turn around and say, yes. You'd say, I'm afraid that you dropped. We don't need this. We don't, dropped out doesn't exist. We say, I'm afraid that you dropped your wallet. I'm afraid that you dropped your wallet. Good, that works. Well done. What else do we have? Noura says, he afraid that to do wrong example. So if we're using afraid in the way that we've just spoken about, afraid meaning I'm sorry. Normally, he was afraid that. It's normally when you're using it to mean I'm sorry, you talk about it as in I, not anyone else. I'm afraid that. And I would say, I'm afraid that this example is wrong. I'm afraid that this example is wrong. That's how I would structure that sentence. I'm afraid that this example is wrong. Okay, so here we go in the patron room. Hello, Anna. I'm afraid I'm out of ideas today. My brain is not working. My brain is not working. Don't worry, Patricia. That was very good. Well done. Going to give that a thumb up. I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, I am sorry about that. Sleep is very important, and I know how bad it can be when you don't get a good night's sleep. Something I struggle with all the time. I'm afraid this book is boring. I'm afraid, but... I'm afraid. Yeah, no, you wouldn't use but. But the but wouldn't work. Yeah, the but wouldn't work. I'm afraid this book is boring is correct. I'm afraid that I missed half part of the class. So let's have a look at this sentence. We've got, I'm afraid that I missed half the first, so you which half? Or so you could either say, I'm afraid I missed half of the class, like this. But if you're saying part, then you might say the first part of the class. You don't need half and part. You don't need both of those words. So I'm afraid that I missed the first part of the class. That would work. Or you could say the first half of the class. That would also work. Okay, I'm going to carry on doing some examples with those of you who want to keep doing some examples with me. I'll just stay for a few more minutes. But before I do that, because I'll cut this off later, I just want to let you know that tomorrow I'll be releasing a video a little earlier than normal. Tomorrow I've got quite an exciting video coming up that looks at the differences between American, British English and Australian English. And I have 3 guest teachers on board helping me to explain these differences for you. So I do hope that you will come and join me tomorrow. It won't be a live lesson, but I'll be here responding to comments at 10 o'clock in the morning. So at 10 a.m. tomorrow, you can expect to see a new video, which I spent quite a lot of time working on. Obviously, I've got 3 guest teachers involved, so I would love you to come along and experience some of the very interesting differences between British English, American English, and Australian English. Honestly, I found it fascinating. Some of the things I discovered, we all speak English, and yet some of the things we say are so different and even a surprise to me. So I definitely think you guys will find it interesting too. So that's 10 o'clock tomorrow. And if you are new here, then I'll just finish up with you guys saying, please do press subscribe and the bell notification button. I've got a lot of very exciting videos coming up for you, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. So do press subscribe and the bell notification. The thing is with the bell notification is it lets you know when I'm live. And sometimes like today, I just do a lesson because I feel like it and I don't have time to let everyone know in advance. So it's good to press the notification button so you don't miss out in future. Okay, so if you need to head off, then head off. But if you want to stay,